They called me Ugly Duckling at my mother's 60th birthday party. Right there, in front of 200 guests, with the DJ's camera accidentally zooming in on my face across the LED screens. My parents laughed. Uncle Ron snorted into his whiskey. The whole family joined in, their laughter bouncing off the walls of the venue I'd booked, decorated, and paid for. They had no idea that tonight, at their 40th anniversary celebration, I held every contract, every vendor, every single detail that would make or break their perfect evening. And I was done being their joke. My name is Elena Ward, and at 33, I've become the invisible backbone of my family's social life. From my corner office at Halcyon Vista Hospitality in downtown Riverton, I oversee external relations for one of the Midwest's largest event and venue conglomerates. It's a position that commands respect in boardrooms, influences million-dollar contracts, and shapes the city's hospitality landscape. Yet somehow, when I walk through my parents' door, I transform back into the awkward middle child who exists solely to make everyone else's life run smoothly. My mother, Marjorie, is a retired real estate agent who treats appearances like currency. She's the type who color coordinates her kitchen towels with the season and maintains a mental catalog of every family member's weight fluctuations. My father, Kenneth, owns 3 hardware stores across Riverton and measures success by the shininess of his Lexus and the envy in his golf buddies' eyes. Together, they've built a life that photographs beautifully for their Facebook friends. Then there's Brianna, my older sister by 4 years, who married a pharmaceutical sales rep and produced 2 photogenic children. She has the kind of effortless beauty that comes from good genes and a husband who pays for weekly salon appointments. "Elena, honey," she'd say, examining my simple work wardrobe, "you always look so tired. Have you considered adding some color? Maybe getting your hair highlighted. You're hiding behind all that drabness." Logan, my younger brother at 28, works at Dad's main store and still lives in the basement apartment of our parents' colonial. He's charming in that dangerous way that makes people excuse his cruelty as humor. His favorite game is pointing out my flaws under the guise of just joking around. And then there's Uncle Ron, my father's brother, who owns Ron's Taproom on the struggling east side of Riverton. After 3 beers, he becomes a philosopher of human inadequacy, and I'm his favorite subject. His bar is bleeding money, his 3rd divorce just finalized. But somehow my appearance is what needs commentary. The pattern established itself years ago. Elena books the venues because she knows that world. Elena handles deposits because she's so good with details. Elena creates the photo slideshows, orders the flowers, coordinates with caterers, troubleshoots the audio systems, and pays the overages when the family's eyes exceed their budgets. The thank you comes in the form of suggestions that I try harder with my appearance, that I put myself out there more, that I stop hiding behind work. My desk at Halcyon Vista tells a different story. 3 monitors display real-time venue analytics. My phone buzzes with messages from event planners across 3 states. The wall behind me showcases industry awards and photos with city officials at ribbon cuttings. I'm developing a community partnership initiative that will transform how Halcyon Vista interfaces with local businesses, potentially bringing in millions in new revenue streams. The irony isn't lost on me that Uncle Ron's struggling bar is exactly the type of establishment our new program could revitalize. He's sent 4 emails to our general inbox asking about partnership opportunities, never knowing they land in my queue. I've kept them in a special folder, neither rejecting nor approving, waiting for the right moment. My apartment reflects who I actually am: minimal, functional, purposeful, no clutter, no pretense. Just clean lines and quiet spaces. I wake at 5:30 each morning, run 4 miles along the river, shower, dress in one of my 7 identical black blazers, and arrive at the office by 7:15. It's a routine that grounds me, reminds me that I exist beyond my family's narrow vision. But every few months, the summons comes. A text from Mom. "Family dinner Sunday, 2 o'clock, don't be late." Or from Brianna. "Can you handle the restaurant for Dad's birthday? You're so good at that stuff. Or from Logan, "Hey sis, need you to put your card down for mom's party venue. I'll totally pay you back." He never does. I've become their event insurance policy, their safety net, their invisible fixer, and I've let them, because somewhere deep down, that neglected kid in me still hopes that this time, this event, this perfectly executed celebration might finally earn their respect. That maybe they'll see past what they perceive as my plain face and boring clothes to recognize the competent, successful woman I've become. I was wrong. The breaking point was coming, wrapped in synthetic compliments and delivered with champagne toasts at my mother's 60th birthday party. The Riverton social hall glowed with the soft amber lighting I'd specifically requested. 200 guests mingled beneath the vintage chandeliers I'd negotiated into the rental package at no extra cost. The DJ, someone I'd vetted through 3 phone calls, played the exact jazz standards my mother loved. Every centerpiece held white roses and baby's breath, her favorite combination, arranged at the perfect height to encourage conversation across the table. I'd spent 3 months orchestrating this evening. The venue contract bore my signature and my credit card information. The deposit came from my checking account 2 months ago. Just until Dad can transfer the money, Mom had said. The custom photo backdrop featured a timeline of her life that I'd assembled from scanning 400 family photos during my lunch breaks. Even the caterer's menu adjustments for Aunt Martha's gluten intolerance and Cousin David's nut allergy came from my detailed spreadsheet. Standing near the service hallway in my navy dress, "Try not to blend into the walls, Elena," Brianna had advised earlier. I watched my family work the room. Mom sparkled in her sequined cocktail dress, accepting compliments about the party's perfection without mentioning who'd perfected it. Dad held court near the bar, boasting about securing such an exclusive venue. Logan flirted with the catering staff while double-fisting champagne he hadn't paid for. Time for family photos. The DJ's voice boomed across the hall at exactly 8:45. As I'd scheduled, I moved toward the stage, clipboard in hand, ready to coordinate the group shots I'd already discussed with the photographer. "Where's our little event planner?" Dad called out, scanning the crowd with theatrical exaggeration. "Elena, stop hiding and get up here." I climbed the 3 steps to the stage, feeling 200 pairs of eyes follow my movement. The LED screens flanking the stage suddenly filled with my face. The DJ's camera operator had zoomed in, trying to capture the happy family moment. "Stand in the middle, honey," Mom directed, then paused, examining me under the stage lights. "Oh, Elena, that dress does nothing for you. And your hair, didn't I suggest you get it styled? You're so thin, and with your face? Well, you need all the help you can get." The microphone was still live. Her voice carried across the hall. "She's always been our plain Jane," Dad added with what he probably thought was affectionate humor. "Thank God she's good with paperwork." "Right. Not everyone can be a beauty queen." Brianna laughed, adjusting her cocktail dress. "I offered to take her shopping, but you know Elena, married to that office, hiding behind those boring blazers." Logan raised his champagne glass toward the camera. "To my sister, proof that not all of us got the good genes." Then Uncle Ron's voice cut through, whiskey loud and sharp. "Look at that face on the screen, our little ugly duckling." The laughter started as a ripple. Mom giggled behind her manicured hand. Dad's shoulders shook. Brianna's perfect smile widened. Logan clinked his glass against Ron's. Then it spread. Cousins, aunts, family friends, even some of my mother's book club members. The sound rolled across the hall like thunder, reflected and amplified by the screens still displaying my frozen face in high definition. I stood there, spine straight, hands steady, while my family turned me into their punchline. The photographer kept shooting, capturing what probably looked like good-natured family teasing. The DJ, sensing awkwardness, tried to move things along, but Uncle Ron grabbed the microphone. "Let's hear it for Elena, the duckling who makes all our parties happen, even if she never turned into a swan." He swayed slightly, pleased with his wordplay. More laughter. Someone started clapping slowly, mockingly. I recognized 3 colleagues from Halcyon Vista near the dessert table. They'd come as a professional courtesy, and now they were witnessing this. My cheeks burned, but I didn't move, didn't speak, just let the moment crystallize into perfect, sharp clarity. Okay, Mom finally said, taking the microphone. Elena, sweetheart, could you check with the kitchen about the cake and make sure they have the right number of candles? Oh, and verify the final head count with the catering manager. I think we might be over. She was dismissing me. After publicly humiliating me, she was sending me back to servant duty. I nodded once, stepped off the stage, and walked toward the kitchen. Behind me, I heard her say, "Now, let's get a photo with just the pretty ones." The roar of laughter followed me through the service door. In the kitchen's fluorescent brightness, I stood perfectly still while the staff pretended not to notice the woman in the navy dress whose family had just eviscerated her in front of 200 people. The cake was perfect, 60 candles arranged in elegant circles. The head count was exact. Every detail was flawless, just like always. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder labeled Ron's Taproom Partnership Requests. 4 increasingly desperate emails asking for help saving his failing bar. Then I switched to my Halcyon Vista email and began typing a different kind of message entirely. They wanted to laugh at the ugly duckling fine, but they'd forgotten something crucial about that fairy tale. The duckling didn't just become beautiful, it became powerful, and it flew away, leaving the barnyard animals to their mud. That night, I sat in my apartment at 2:30 a.m., laptop open, surrounded by 5 years of receipts, bank statements, and email threads. The evidence of my exploitation lay spread across my dining table like a crime scene. Each document told the same story. Elena pays. Elena arranges. Elena fixes. Elena disappears. The retirement party for Dad's business partner, my credit card. $1,200. Still unpaid. The email from Mom afterward. Thanks for helping out. BTW, could you wear something more flattering next time? The photos were unfortunate. Brianna's baby shower at the country club, $2,000 in deposits and catering overages. Her thank you text. Everything was perfect, though I wish you'd made more effort with your appearance. My friends kept asking if you were the help. Logan's surprise 30th birthday. $800 for the private room at Riverton's trendiest restaurant. His response, thanks sis. Maybe use some of that party planning energy on finding a date, just saying. Uncle Ron's bar anniversary celebration. I'd negotiated a discount with our liquor vendors through Halcyon Connections, saving him $3,000. He'd thanked me by announcing to the crowd that I was proof that not every ward got the looks. But hey, someone has to be the smart one. The pattern was pathological. They'd trained me to accept scraps of backhanded acknowledgement while bankrolling their social performances. Each family gathering followed the same script. Elena arranges everything. Elena pays up front. Elena gets promised reimbursement. Elena gets mocked instead. Elena says nothing. I opened a new spreadsheet and began calculating. Over the past 5 years, I'd fronted approximately $37,000 for family events. I'd been reimbursed for less than $8,000. The rest had dissolved into vague promises and assumptions that Elena makes good money and she doesn't have a family to support. But the money was just the tangible loss. The real theft was harder to quantify. The hours spent in my office coordinating their celebrations instead of advancing my own projects. The professional connections I'd leveraged for their benefit rather than mine. The emotional labor of constantly absorbing their criticism while ensuring their comfort. I pulled up my work calendar. In 6 weeks, my parents would celebrate their 40th wedding anniversary. Mom had already started her campaign. We're thinking something elegant but intimate. Maybe the glass house. You have connections there, right? We'll need it for practically nothing. You know how tight things are. The Glass House was Halcyon Vista's newest acquisition, a stunning venue with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. It was booked solid for 8 months out. Getting a Saturday evening slot would require calling in serious favors. The family discount she expected would come directly from my professional capital. But the Glass House had something else. It was the planned location for Halcyon's Charity and Contracts Showcase, our annual event where we signed new venue partnerships and celebrated community engagement. This year, I was running it. I controlled the schedule, the guest list, the contracts, and most importantly, the behavioral standards required for participation. I opened a new browser tab and pulled up Halcyon's partnership guidelines. Section 4.3. All participating venues and their representatives must adhere to Halcyon Vista's Code of Professional Conduct, including zero tolerance for discriminatory behavior, harassment, or conduct that creates a hostile environment. Violation meant immediate termination of contracts and forfeiture of all promotional benefits. Another tab, Ron's Taproom's latest financial filing. He was hemorrhaging money, down 40% from last year. The pop-up partnership program I developed could save him. Tax venue space for his bar at high-profile events, keeping his brand alive while he restructured. He'd already applied 3 times. I controlled the approval process. I started drafting 2 documents. The first was a standard venue contract for my parents' anniversary party at the Glass House. With one modification, the billing would go directly to Kenneth and Marjorie Ward. No intermediary. No, Elena will handle it. No escape route. Payment required at signing. Final settlement due the night of the event. The second was more intricate, a schedule adjustment that would place their anniversary celebration in the Glass House's main ballroom on the same night as our showcase event in the adjoining space. The venues would share common areas, service staff, and most crucially, the same behavioral standards and surveillance systems. At 4:15 a.m., I finally closed my laptop. The family had made their position clear. I was the ugly duckling, valuable only for my utility, worthy only of mockery. They'd created this dynamic, reinforced it, celebrated it publicly, but they'd made a critical error. They'd assumed that because I'd been silent, I was powerless. That because I'd absorbed their cruelty, I lacked the capacity to redirect it. They'd forgotten that I wasn't actually a duckling at all. I was a 33-year-old executive with institutional power, professional leverage, and 5 years of documented financial abuse. The ugly duckling was about to show them what happens when you mistake restraint for weakness. And this time, I wouldn't be the one paying the bill. The next morning, I arrived at Halcyon Vista at 6:45 a.m. and went straight to Ava Morales' office. As Director of Public Relations, Ava had seen enough corporate scandals to know when someone was planning something delicate. She looked up from her coffee as I knocked on her glass door. "Elena, you look like someone with a very specific question," she said, gesturing for me to sit. "Hypothetically," I began, "if a private family event overlapped with our showcase, and if behavioral violations occurred in the shared spaces, what would be our legal standing?" Ava's eyes sharpened. "Hypothetically, if all parties signed our standard conduct agreement, and violations occurred in any area under Halcyon jurisdiction, we'd have full grounds for contract enforcement. The key would be documentation, timestamps, witnesses, preferably audio or video in public spaces where recording is clearly posted. And if one of the violators was simultaneously applying for our pop-up partnership program, then they'd be subject to both event and partnership guidelines. Double jeopardy, essentially." She leaned back. "This hypothetical family, would they happen to be named Ward?" I didn't answer directly. "I need the Glass House for Saturday, March 15th, main ballroom, with overflow into the shared spaces during showcase hours." "That's your parents' anniversary." It wasn't a question. Ava had processed enough of my reimbursement requests to know the family patterns. "Elena, what exactly are you planning?" "I'm planning to stop subsidizing their cruelty," I said. "I need your help to do it legally and professionally. No defamation, no ambush tactics. Just natural consequences delivered through proper channels." Ava studied me for a long moment, then pulled up her calendar. "We'll need Jerome from legal to review everything. The showcase contracts are ironclad. Anyone who signs them is bound by the terms, family or not. The beauty is, they're public documents. No hidden clauses, no fine print tricks. Just clear behavioral standards with clear consequences." Over the next 2 weeks, I assembled my team quietly. Jerome reviewed and refined the contracts, ensuring every clause would hold up under scrutiny. The Glass House's event manager, Patricia, adjusted the floor plan to maximize the overlap between the two events' common areas. The audio-visual team confirmed that all microphones in the shared spaces would be live monitored for showcase compliance. The DJ from Mom's birthday party, Marcus, turned out to be instrumental. I felt terrible about that night, he admitted when I called. The way they treated you was unconscionable. The camera operator actually asked if we should cut the feed, but your mom insisted we keep rolling. I need someone running audio for both events on March 15th, I said. Someone who understands the importance of documentation. You've got it. And Elena. My cameras will be recording everything this time. Professional quality, multiple angles, time-coded. The invitation redesign was subtle but crucial. Instead of my usual evite from my personal email, the anniversary party invitation came from Halcyon Vista's official events department. The language was corporate perfect. Kenneth and Marjorie Ward cordially invite you to their 40th anniversary celebration, hosted at the Glass House, a Halcyon Vista property. Please note, this event coincides with Halcyon Vista's annual partnership showcase. All attendees must acknowledge the venue's code of conduct upon entry. Mom called within an hour of receiving it. Elena, what is this formal nonsense? And why is it from your company? You wanted the Glass House. Mom, this is how we book the Glass House. It's actually a huge favor. We're only able to get the date because I'm combining it with a corporate event. You'll have the ballroom from 7 to 11 p.m., with access to the shared spaces. But this code of conduct thing, standard liability protection, every Halcyon venue requires it. Just basic stuff. No discrimination, no harassment, maintaining a professional environment. You know, things that ensure everyone has a pleasant evening. It seems excessive for a family party. It's non-negotiable. Mom, if you'd prefer a different venue. No, the Glass House is perfect. Joyce from the club will be so jealous. Fine, we'll sign your little forms. The real masterpiece was the pop-up partnership provisional approval I sent to Ron's taproom. Dear Mr. Ward, it began. We're pleased to inform you that Ron's taproom has been provisionally approved for our spring pop-up partnership program, pending final review on March 15th. As part of this program, you're invited to operate a specialty bar at our showcase event at the Glass House. Please note, all provisional partners must maintain Halcyon Vista's professional standards throughout the event. Any violations will result in immediate disqualification from the program. This represents a potential value of $50,000 in promotional opportunities over the next year. Ron called my office directly, his voice thick with desperate gratitude. Elena, my God, this could save the bar. March 15th, that's your parents' anniversary, isn't it? What a coincidence. Yes, I said evenly. What a coincidence. The piece was set, every contract signed, every clause acknowledged, every camera angle planned. My family thought they were getting their usual service, Elena handling everything, smoothing every detail, absorbing every cost and insult. They had no idea they were walking into a carefully constructed mirror, one that would reflect their behavior back at them with institutional force. The ugly duckling had built her trap out of paperwork and policy. And the best part, they were about to sign themselves into it willingly, eagerly, grateful for the privilege. 3 weeks before the anniversary, I sent the official email from my Halcyon Vista account to the entire family group thread. The subject line read, Important Ward 40th Anniversary Venue Requirements and Policies. Dear family, it began. As we approach the anniversary celebration at the Glass House, please review the attached venue requirements. Per Halcyon Vista's corporate policy, all attendees must acknowledge our code of conduct. This is particularly important as the venue will simultaneously host our annual partnership showcase. Any behavior deemed discriminatory, including appearance-based harassment or public humiliation, will result in immediate event termination and forfeiture of all deposits and services. Please confirm your understanding by responding to this email. My phone rang within minutes. Brianna. Elena. This is ridiculous. It's a family party, not a corporate merger. What's with all this harassment language? Standard Halcyon policy. Brianna. Every event at the Glass House requires it. After that incident last month where a wedding party bullied a server about her weight, legal insists on explicit agreements. But we're family. We joke around. You know how we are. I do know exactly how you are, I said flatly. That's why I'm ensuring everyone understands the rules. The Glass House has a zero-tolerance policy. If you're uncomfortable with that, no. God, we've already told everyone it's at the Glass House. I just think you're being dramatic. The next call was from Mom. Elena, the venue wants our credit card for the deposit. I thought you were handling that. No, Mom, the contract is in your and Dad's names. You'll need to provide payment directly. But I've recused myself from family financial transactions due to professional conflict of interest. Halcyon's ethics board recommended it after I submitted my expense audit for the past 5 years. Silence. Then, expense audit. Just routine accounting. You'll need to complete the payment by end of business today to secure the date. The pattern continued for 3 weeks. Every assumption they'd built about my role crumbled against corporate policy. Mom had to call the caterer directly when she wanted menu changes. I was unavailable due to showcase preparations. Dad had to negotiate with the florist himself, discovering that the friends and family discount he'd always assumed existed was actually me paying the difference. Logan learned that the open bar he'd promised his friends would cost $1,200 when not subsidized by his sister's credit card. Most importantly, I stopped responding to their appearance-based jabs entirely. When Mom texted asking if I'd finally get my hair done professionally for the anniversary, I replied with a link to Halcyon's anti-discrimination policy. When Brianna suggested I needed Spanx and maybe some bronzer, I forwarded her the code of conduct she'd signed. 2 days before the event, I sent Uncle Ron his pop-up partnership final briefing. As discussed, your specialty bar will operate in the showcase pavilion from 6 to 10 p.m. You'll have access to the shared spaces where both events overlap. Please note the highlighted sections regarding professional conduct. Any violations during the event will result in immediate partnership termination. Your signature confirms understanding that this is a zero-tolerance policy. He signed within an hour, adding a note. Thanks again, Elena. You're saving my business. I promise I'll be on my best behavior. The night before the anniversary, I did something I'd never done before. I didn't check on any arrangements. No courtesy calls to vendors. No drive-by to ensure decorations were placed correctly. No final confirmations with staff. Instead, I reviewed my documentation 5 years of receipts totaling $37,000 in unreimbursed expenses. 43 emails containing appearance-based insults while requesting favors. And Marcus's video from Mom's birthday with Uncle Ron's ugly duckling comment crystal clear on the audio. My phone buzzed constantly. Mom, the flowers look wrong. Can you fix them? Dad, the caterer says we're over budget. Handle this. Brianna, where are you? We need help with the seating chart. Logan, sis, bring your credit card tomorrow just in case. I responded to none of them. Saturday morning arrived gray and misty, perfect diffused lighting for the Glass House's windows. I dressed carefully, a black sheath dress, architectural in its simplicity, with a single strand of pearls. Not transformation, not revenge makeover, just the quiet authority of a woman who'd finally understood her worth wasn't determined by committee. At 3 p.m., I arrived at the Glass House through the executive entrance. The anniversary decorations were lovely. Mom had good taste when she had to pay for it herself. The showcase setup was flawless, with partnership display boards and registration tables arranged throughout the shared atrium. Most critically, Marcus had positioned cameras at every angle, and small signs noted, "This event is being recorded for quality and compliance purposes." Ava met me in the control room, where we could monitor both events. "The family has started arriving," she said, pointing to the screen showing the main ballroom. Your mother has already complained to Patricia about the camera notices, and Patricia reminded her that she signed the agreement acknowledging recording in common areas. On another monitor, Ron was setting up his pop-up bar, arranging bottles with nervous precision. He'd worn a suit, probably the same one from his last divorce hearing. The partnership badge on his table gleamed with possibility. Ron's tap room, provisional partner, pending final review. "Are you ready for this?" Ava asked. I watched my family gather in their finest clothes, in the venue they'd wanted, surrounded by the elegance they'd demanded, about to celebrate 40 years of marriage on someone else's dime, except this time, that someone wasn't me. "I've been ready for years," I said. I just didn't know it until now. By 7 p.m. The glass house hummed with elegant energy. Jazz standards floated through the main ballroom where my parents held court, while the adjoining showcase space bustled with Riverton's business elite examining partnership proposals. The two events flowed into each other through the shared atrium, where Ron's pop-up bar served signature cocktails to both crowds. I moved through the showcase side, greeting potential partners, discussing venue capabilities, maintaining professional distance from the anniversary party. Through the glass walls, I could see my family searching for me, their faces cycling through confusion and irritation. At 7:30, Mom finally spotted me near the partnership display boards. She rushed over, her sequined dress catching the light. "Elena, where have you been? The caterer needs approval for the cake presentation, and your father can't find his reading glasses for the toast." "I'm working. Mom, the showcase is my responsibility tonight. Patricia can help with any anniversary concerns. But you always handle." "Not tonight. Tonight, I'm handling Halcyon Vista's partnerships. Enjoy your party." Her face flushed. "This is ridiculous. You're being petty about some silly jokes." "What jokes?" I asked evenly, loud enough for nearby showcase attendees to hear. Mom faltered, noticing the circle of business professionals within earshot. "Nothing. Never mind." At 8:15, the trouble began. Uncle Ron, 3 whiskeys into his evening, started his usual commentary as I passed his bar station. "There's our Elena," he called out, his voice carrying across the atrium. "Still shopping in the office supplies section for dresses." "I see." Several showcase guests turned. Marcus's cameras captured everything. Ron's flushed face, my calm expression, the shocked looks from potential partners. Ava appeared at Ron's elbow within seconds. "Mr. Ward, I need to remind you that you're operating under Halcyon Vista's professional conduct standards. This is your first warning." Ron blinked, suddenly remembering the papers he'd signed. "I was just... It's family fun." "It's appearance-based harassment, explicitly forbidden in your partnership agreement. Please maintain professional standards or your provisional status will be revoked." At 8:45, the anniversary toast began. Dad had managed to find his reading glasses, probably in his pocket the whole time, and called everyone to attention. The sliding walls between the ballroom and atrium had been opened to accommodate overflow, meaning his microphone carried into the showcase space. 40 years with this beautiful woman," he began, then spotted me near the partnership table. "And thanks to our daughter Elena for staying out of the photos tonight." He laughed at his own joke. "We love you, sweetheart, even if you did inherit the Ward nose and your mother's worry lines." The anniversary guests laughed uncomfortably. The showcase attendees did not. Several potential partners looked at me with sympathy and second-hand embarrassment. Marcus's cameras recorded every word. Then Brianna grabbed the microphone. "To my parents, who taught us that beauty isn't everything. Right, Elena." She giggled, champagne bright. "Though it certainly helps, at least one of us got the good genes." Logan followed. "And here's to Elena, who proves that success doesn't require a pretty face, just a good credit score and no social life." That's when Uncle Ron, determined to reclaim his spotlight, stumbled to the microphone. His provisional partnership badge swung from his lapel as he swayed. "A toast," he slurred. To the whole beautiful Ward family, and to Elena, our ugly duckling who, the microphone cut off. Ava stood at the soundboard, her expression granite. She walked to the center of the atrium, where both crowds could see her, and spoke into a wireless mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption. Due to multiple violations of Halcyon Vista's Code of Conduct regarding harassment and discriminatory behavior, we must now address the situation according to our policies. She turned to my frozen family. Mr. Ronald Ward, your provisional partnership with Halcyon Vista is hereby terminated for violations of professional conduct standards. Please remove your materials from the premises immediately. Ron's face went white. What no? You can't. This is millions in revenue. You signed an agreement clearly stating zero tolerance for harassment. That agreement is now void, Ava continued. Additionally, the Ward anniversary party has violated the venue's anti-discrimination policy through sustained appearance-based harassment of a Halcyon Vista employee. Per your signed agreement, your event must conclude immediately. You have 15 minutes to vacate before security assists. My mother's voice cracked through the silence. This is insane. She's our daughter. We were just... Ma'am, your relationship to the victim doesn't exempt you from consequences. The full balance of your event, $8,400, is due immediately at the registration desk. Failure to pay will result in legal action. Dad stepped forward, his face purple. Elena, call off your people. This is ridiculous. I walked to the center of the atrium, taking the microphone from Ava. The room fell silent. Anniversary guests, showcase partners, my family, all watching. 5 years, I said clearly. $37,000 in unreimbursed expenses while you mocked my appearance. Every party, every celebration, every family gathering where I was both the organizer and the punchline. I looked directly at the cameras. Tonight, you called me an ugly duckling in a professional space, in front of my colleagues and clients, violating every standard of human decency and contractual obligation. I turned to my parents. The bill is at the front desk. This is the last event I will ever facilitate for this family. And Uncle Ron. I looked at his stricken face. Your bar's last hope just ended with the words, ugly duckling. The silence stretched like glass about to shatter. I reached into my portfolio and pulled out a manila folder, thick with 5 years of documentation. Before you leave, let me show you something. I spread the papers across the registration table, each one illuminated by the glass house's crystal lighting. Every receipt, every invoice, every credit card statement from every family event I've funded. Mom stepped forward, her face pale beneath her makeup. Elena, this is inappropriate. Inappropriate. I held up an email printout. Like this message from you after Dad's retirement party. Quote, thanks for covering the deposit. BTW, could you please dress better next time? You looked like a homeless librarian in the photos. Brianna tried to interject. You're overreacting to harmless. Harmless. I pulled out another document. Your baby shower invoice, $2,000. Your thank you text? Everything was perfect, though I wish you'd made an effort. My friends thought you were the help. The showcase attendees had formed a silent audience. Several were recording on their phones. Marcus's professional cameras captured every angle as I laid out receipt after receipt. Logan's birthday, $800. I held up the credit card statement. His response, thanks sis. Maybe spend less on parties and more on a gym membership. Logan's face flushed red. That was a joke. Uncle Ron's bar anniversary, $3,000 in vendor discounts I negotiated using my professional connections. I turned to Ron, who stood frozen by his now defunct pop-up bar. Your speech that night, here's to Elena, proof that not every ward got the looks, but someone has to be the smart one. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the venue's sound system. And here's the audio from Mom's 60th birthday, professionally recorded, time-stamped. Uncle Ron's voice filled the space. Look at that face on the screen, our little ugly duckling. The family's laughter echoed through the glass house, harsh and cruel in the playback. Several showcase guests gasped. One woman turned away, unable to watch. $37,000, I said, my voice steady as steel. That's what I've paid for the privilege of being your joke. So, here's what's going to happen. I pulled out a prepared invoice, drafted by Jerome from legal. You will pay tonight's bill in full, $8,400, at the desk before leaving. This is non-negotiable. Patricia has already run your card. Dad. It cleared. Dad's hand went to his wallet instinctively. You can't. Additionally, I continued, you will each sign this acknowledgement of debt for your portion of the unreimbursed expenses. Mom and Dad, $18,000. Brianna, $8,000. Logan, $6,000. Ron, $5,000. These are payment plans, not requests. Halcyon's legal department will handle collections if necessary. This is extortion, Mom's voice cracked. No, this is accountability. And there's more. I turned to the showcase audience, which now included several local reporters who'd been covering the partnership event. Mr. Ronald Ward, who just lost his partnership opportunity due to discriminatory conduct, will implement a comprehensive anti-harassment policy at Ron's taproom, including staff training and public posting of standards. If he refuses, tonight's incident will be released to every review platform and local publication. Ron's face cycled through colors like a broken television. You're destroying my business over a stupid joke. No, you destroyed your business the moment you thought humiliating me was entertainment. I'm just choosing not to save it this time. I pulled out one final document. This is a cease and desist letter. Any further appearance-based comments? Any public mockery? Any attempt to use my professional connections while simultaneously demeaning me? It all stops tonight. Or the full video from this evening, plus 5 years of documented emotional abuse, goes to every contact in your social and professional networks. Brianna started crying. Elena, we're family. Yes, we are. Which makes your treatment of me even more unconscionable. I looked at each of them in turn. Family is supposed to be your safe space, not your comedy routine. Family is supposed to celebrate your successes, not diminish you to feel better about themselves. Mom reached for my hand. I stepped back. Please, she whispered, let's discuss this privately. Like you discussed my appearance privately. Oh wait, that was into a live microphone at your birthday party. I gestured to the cameras. You chose to make my humiliation public. Now your consequences are too. Dad finally found his voice. What do you want? An apology. I wanted respect. I wanted recognition. I wanted to be seen as more than your personal event planner and walking punchline. But you couldn't even give me that. I picked up the microphone one last time. What I want now is simple. I want you to pay your debts, sign the agreements, and understand that Elena Ward is no longer available for your use. I looked at Mom directly. You want to know what I really want? I want you to plan your next party yourself. Book your own venue. Negotiate your own rates, handle your own logistics. And when it falls apart, when you realize exactly how much work I did while you mocked me, remember this moment. The silence in the glass house was complete. Then, from the showcase side, someone started clapping, then another, then another. The applause rippled through the professional crowd, not celebration, but acknowledgement, recognition. My family stood frozen in their formal wear, surrounded by the ruins of their anniversary party, facing a bill they couldn't pass off and consequences they couldn't joke away. You have 10 minutes to settle the bill and leave, I said quietly. Security will escort you out after that. The jazz music resumed at exactly 9 p.m., floating through the glass house like nothing had happened, except everything had. The anniversary guests dispersed in whispers and shocked glances. The showcase continued, with potential partners approaching me with newfound respect, and several partnership offers that had nothing to do with pity. I watched from the control room as my family gathered at the payment desk. Mom's hands shook as she signed the receipt. Dad's signature was angry slashes across the payment plan. Brianna couldn't stop crying, her mascara creating modern art on her cheeks. Logan signed silently, finally understanding that actions have prices. Uncle Ron had already stumbled out, his provisional partnership badge abandoned on the bar. Patricia handed them their copies with professional detachment. "Thank you for choosing the glass house. Have a pleasant evening." They left without looking back, without looking for me, without the grand exit they'd probably imagined for their 40th anniversary celebration. Just 5 people in formal wear, walking through a parking lot with $8,400 less and $37,000 in documented debt. Marcus appeared in the control room doorway. "I've saved everything. Multiple angles, crystal clear audio. The ugly duckling moment is particularly well documented." "Keep it all archived," I said. "I won't need it unless they violate the cease and desist." Ava joined us, a slight smile on her face. "3 partnership firms want meetings with you next week. They were impressed by your crisis management and boundary setting. Thornfield Industries specifically mentioned wanting someone who doesn't tolerate discriminatory behavior." The showcase wound down by 10:30 p.m. I helped close out the event, checking vendor stations and confirming next steps with new partners. Normal work, satisfying work. Work where I was valued for my competence rather than mocked for my appearance. At 11:15 p.m., I stood alone in the glasshouse's main ballroom. The anniversary decorations were already being broken down by the night crew. 40 years of marriage, reduced to centerpieces in garbage bags and tablecloths in laundry bins. The Ward family celebration, finally paid for by the Wards. My phone had 37 messages. I deleted them all unread. Outside, Riverton sparkled through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city where I'd built my career, where I'd made my own reputation, where I existed as Elena Ward, Director of External Relations, not Elena Ward, Family Disappointment. I walked to the windows and saw my reflection in the dark glass, black dress, pearls, angular face that had never met their standards of beauty, but also straight shoulders, steady stance, eyes that no longer sought approval from people who only saw my value in terms of service. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, then saw the preview. "This is Janet, from tonight's showcase. I own Meridian Events." I wanted to say. I opened it fully. I wanted to say that watching you stand up for yourself was one of the most powerful things I've ever witnessed. We all have those voices in our lives telling us we're not enough. Tonight, you showed us how to make them stop. "Would love to discuss partnership opportunities and perhaps share stories over coffee." Then another, from a reporter, Ms. Ward. "I'd like to interview you about workplace discrimination and family dynamics in professional settings. Your story could help others." And another, from someone named David. "I was catering tonight. My family calls me their failed artist while I pay for every holiday dinner. Thank you for showing me it's okay to stop." I turned off my phone and gathered my things. The partnership contracts, the success of the showcase, the potential media coverage. None of it was the real victory. The real victory was simpler. Tomorrow would be Sunday, and for the first time in 5 years, I wouldn't wake up to demands disguised as requests, insults disguised as jokes, or bills disguised as family obligations. I walked through the glass house one last time, my heels clicking against the polished floor. The security guard nodded as I passed. "Have a good night, Ms. Ward." "You too. James?" Outside, the March air was crisp and clean. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment, looking back at the venue where everything had changed, where the ugly duckling had finally shown them who she really was. Not a swan, not a transformation story, but a woman who'd simply decided she was done paying for the privilege of being insulted. My car waited in the executive lot, exactly where I'd parked it 6 hours ago. But everything else was different now. The burden I'd carried for so long, that desperate need for family approval, that willingness to accept crumbs of recognition while funding their whole feast, it was gone, left behind in the glass house with the anniversary decorations and Ron's abandoned partnership badge. I drove home through Riverton's quiet streets, past Ron's tap room with its dimming neon sign, past my parents' colonial where lights still blazed in every window, past Brianna's suburban perfect house where she was probably still crying into her wine. My apartment building rose ahead, its clean lines and modern architecture a testament to the life I'd built myself. Inside, everything waited exactly as I'd left it, minimal, functional, peaceful. No family photos on the walls, no cluttered obligations on the counter, no voices telling me I wasn't enough. I poured a glass of wine and stood at my window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was probably gathered in Mom's kitchen, reinforcing their narrative, painting me as the villain who'd ruined their celebration. Let them. They could keep their story. I had something better. I had self-respect. And it turned out that was worth far more than $37,000. The message notification on my laptop caught my eye. An email from Halcyon's CEO, Elena. I heard about tonight's incident. Your handling of the situation was exemplary. Let's discuss your promotion to vice president on Monday. You've more than earned it. I closed the laptop and raised my glass to my reflection in the window. Here's to you, ugly duckling, I whispered. Turns out you didn't need to become beautiful. You just needed to become free. The city sparkled below, full of possibilities that no longer required family approval to pursue. And for the first time in my life, that was exactly how I wanted it. Thank you for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about Elena's journey. Did she go too far, or was her response justified? I'm curious to hear your own experiences with family dynamics and standing up for yourself.